It is 6:03 on July 15th, 2025, and calling the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Minnetonka to order, and if the clerk would please call the roll.
Mayor Drennan.
Here.
Councilmember Mosier Campoli.
Here.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Here.
Councilmember McHugh.
Here.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Here.
Councilmember Carson.
Here.
Councilmember Harrington.
Here.
Councilmember Forrester Rothbart. Councilmember Matheson.
Here.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. All right. Before we get into our council member discussion items, I want to lead off with a proposal regarding the consent agenda. And so, Council, I propose that we continue with the procedure that's been in place with caveat. So the council currently reviews the draft agenda, which will continue to get into your hands as early as is possible. If there's an item there that you're not completely comfortable with, please just let us know on Monday, and we'll remove it from the consent and place it among items to be discussed. And if you can let us know if you have a question or a concern about that particular item, then we'll have an opportunity to pull together the information that might help to address that come to council meeting the next day. Now here's the caveat. If we find ourselves in a council meeting and there's an item that you're still not sure of, I propose going back to the process where you pull it in that moment. All right, before we vote on the consent agenda, what I'll do is I'll ask, are there any motions that you'd like removed? I hope that those are rare instances. I think probably they will be. And I'd appreciate it if we can continue to make those concerns known to myself and to Greg earlier so that we have that opportunity to pull information together. If we can, the printed agenda will reflect the item for discussion, and we can then address, as I said, the concern and gather information prior to the meeting. And so what I would ask, is there anyone who's against this change and has a better idea to make the process more efficient? Or are we good with that change?
So I just want to recap. You're
Sure.
suggesting we have an issue with the consent agenda, have it pulled by Monday, and if there's a question with pulling it, to have that submitted to you and Greg.
Yeah, and that's
on
typical,
Monday.
what you're doing now. That's essentially the process that you're following now. But in the event that there's still on a Tuesday night a question about a motion that you're not comfortable with, well, we'll pull it in that moment, as we used to. But hopefully, we'll be able to kind of front load a lot of the questions that might have, so that we're able to answer those and make this meeting that much more efficient. And then, well, obviously, we'd be moving those to discussion, as we typically would be the case. So, does that sound like a plan? Yes, Lynn.
So when we were moving towards the consent agenda, we were expressing the need to have time to review it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was the date that we were trying to shoot for?
We were trying, going through all of my correspondences, we were trying, internal and external, we were trying for Friday. We meet on Friday morning, Greg and I. We get done usually sometime around noon with our meeting, and then there are a couple of meetings that typically follow that. And so Greg, not to speak for you, Greg, but I will, typically is banging away and trying to put together the agenda and all of the supporting documents on that Friday. Sometimes that gets done on the Friday, and sometimes it gets done the following day. And I think at this point, we know that that's a process that takes a little bit of time, so the expectation should probably be that you're going to see it Friday late or sometime on the weekend. So, hopefully that's enough time to do a scan of a document without even getting into the support information and say, I'm not really comfortable with this. Can we just pull it? If you have the time to get into the support documentation, so much the better. Yes, Scott?
Why is Greg putting the agenda together?
No, I put the agenda together.
Why is Greg typing it up to send it out?
Okay, well,
And that's a collective task. We meet Tuesday mornings before a finance meeting, and then Thursday is the finance meeting. Most of the items that end up on the agenda, 60% or more are coming through the finance committee, sometimes legislatives, occasionally from quality of life. But typically, the business of the city is going through finance. So we're trying to write those motions when we're writing the finance agenda. It's putting those documents together on Tuesdays. But given time constraints and competing priorities, things always end up getting pushed back. It's Tuesday night or it's Wednesday, and we're still putting fines together and getting that out. So then, if we don't have all those motions written by Tuesday at 9 a.m., which typically isn't the case, despite my stated goal of making that the case someday, we try for that, then it's between me, Carrie, and Ginny for the most part, Judy, depending on what the motion is about, to write those motions and get them together on the agenda on Friday. And ultimately, I'm the one that's meeting with the mayor, reviewing that, making changes. Carrie and I are in there more than anyone to actually put together the formatting of it. And once it's good to go, the mayor's had a review and said it's fine, then I ask Carrie or Bonnie, depending on who's handling the agenda that week, to send it out when they're available. And sometimes if that's after 4 o'clock or whenever they've gone for the day on a Friday, then things end up getting delayed until over the weekend when they're able to, because everyone here works salaried positions. We work 24/7 in some respects, but we're not constantly monitoring things, so that's when those delays happen.
So it is bigger than just you putting together, you got other people that
Oh,
are working to
gosh,
put it
yes.
together.
Yeah.
I think that's a misconception that's been going on too, is that you're the one putting it together.
Yeah.
I'm a big part of it, yeah. I think that's a big part of my job, is making sure that information is being effectively communicated through our committee process, through our council process, so that, the things that are put in front of you, I want to make sure I understand them, as well as, department heads who are responsible for their different ones.
And to be clear, the mayor is responsible for the agenda, and so, Greg follows my lead on that, and ultimately I direct and then I review before it goes out. Cecilia?
I wanted to just find out from council how committed are council members to even having the presence of a consent agenda available to us? Is there room for discussion for eliminating the consent agenda entirely and having everything be a discussion agenda?
Well, I appreciate the question. Scott, do you have the thought?
I can go back in history. I mean, when David Brenner was mayor, there was no consent agenda. Everything got written. Each person on that committee read their own stuff into the record. And then that was any questions or whatever was discussed then. When Gary was here, I think is when we started leaning towards the consent agenda.
I think it might have happened in Dick
Miller.
Miller's.
Dick put it together as the first one, simply as a mechanism to make things more efficient, and not have to do the round robin every single time for every single motion.
So, I mean, my opinion is, like, if we can streamline our meetings and you wanna go to where we can do that, I'm okay with that, but if some of our bigger motions, I think, is where we're getting in, because there's like some motions you get where there's 62 whereases, and then you finally get to the resolution to actually vote. So, I mean, me personally, I mean, I could go either way. We were just getting in where we're 10, 11 o'clock at night, finally walking out of the council meeting. And the consent agenda was one of those, well, most of it is, the easy consent stuff on there, and we should be able to get it going. So we won't have to do that, but like, I could go either way. If whatever makes more people comfortable, I'm okay with it.
Yes, Don?
I think there's nothing wrong with having a consent agenda, and as long as if something, having new information at the last minute and you want to remove it from the meeting, and you said you can now, I think that's a good compromise.
Shall we pursue the proposal as I put it out, and we can come back and revisit it if folks feel like they need to see more discussion within the context of, that front part of the meeting?
What do you mean?
In other words, to Cecilia's point, maybe we abandon the consent agenda entirely. If we feel that that is not conducive to having the types of meetings we want to have, we can come back and talk about that. And have it all go to just discussion.
This
Yes,
might be a little bit selfish, but when you sit in that chair and you're trying to read all these motions, not sure everybody wants to hear. I mean, I think I got like 6 months left of this, but don't know what the new mayor's going to do. But I mean, it does get a little lengthy when you're reading some of this stuff, and I think some of the great stuff is coming in when you're sitting there. You can sit there and say, well, at least I don't have to read this 2-page thing that we're going to send to the state.
Right.
Just something to think about when you're talking about taking away the consent agenda.
And the other thing is that those items that are on consent should be something that are kind of universally agreed to. That's the rationale for, it being on consent. And so then the discussion would be more for the benefit of educating the public potentially, so there are things to be considering. But unless I don't hear anybody in vigorous opposition, so why don't we adopt this new process? We'll see how that goes, and we can revisit that as folks decide that they want to. Does that work? Okay, good. All right, then we will move. Oh, no, you guys have got the floor. Is there anybody who's got something that they'd like to share?
I do. I have something of a lot, or a little of a lot. I don't know. It's a lot of things. Okay. I want to thank Deandra and Getty Daniels for the Juneteenth celebration. She did a fantastic job. If anybody got down there at the Juneteenth celebration, thank you, Len, for being my PR guy while I was out 2 weeks ago. I want to also kind of put out there has not been one literal day at all since the construction started where there aren't people walking through the construction, like multiple times a day, all different kinds of people. I'm gonna assume they're not familiar faces, but people who are local people. It doesn't matter. Everybody's in the construction zone. People don't want to stay out of it. I understand, it's a lot to walk around and go around, but it is not safe in the construction zone, people. So if we could please, I don't know what we can do as a council to educate more than the signs that are already plastered and the barriers that they're climbing over, literally, to get through it, to not have to walk around. I don't know what we do. But everyone please stop walking through the construction zone. All right. Public Arts Commission would like me to talk a little bit about some challenges that they've been facing. Recently, they had been promised a $16,000 DRI grant that was going to be utilized to prep the wall down here for painting murals. Previously, the commission was promised $60,000 when they first began. They had come out with a master plan, and then 30,000 of that was taken, and then more, I think it was 15,000 or something was taken after that. And now there are no funds basically for public arts to be, showing up in our community and doing what the committee was put together to do. And so they're curious about us looking at possibly securing funds through charging 0.5% on this capital projects. So this model of having a percentage of the capital projects is utilized in similar sister cities like Syracuse and Buffalo and Troy, where they've been pretty successful. They're not even asking for 2 to 3% as those cities have had. They're asking for 0.5%. If they could at least, we could look at that maybe. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there because, I don't know if many people knew that was going down.
Shannon, can I just, I know you've got more, but let me go to Judy if you don't mind, just for some clarification. Is that all right?
So the $16,000, the intent for the $16,000 is to spend it on the Water Street Mall. That did not go away.
I don't know why Emily said
I'm
that
not
we
sure why.
lost it.
Nope. The intent is to spend it on that wall because it's part of the Market Street Improvement Project, which was the original intent of that funding when it was through DRI. Now that it's through the city, that intent still stays the same. The money is still there to be spent on the Water Street.
Yeah, it's just a different funding source when maybe what they're thinking when they're thinking they lost a funding source is the DRI, DOS, Department of State grant related to the DRI was expiring. We had to spend all the funds by the end of December 2024. And so because the Foothills mural was not going forward as planned, it was going to be $16,000 from DOS and $16,000 from another source that Foothills had received. Because that fell through, we didn't have time to spend it on anything else. We had to spend that $16,000 of DOS money on other DRI projects, the Market Street Transportation Project. And then so we found this other funding source in the city, which is a Housing Visions loan repayment, money that we get each year that we can dedicate. So the same amount is going toward public art of some sort in the DRI area. That's why we're looking at the Water Street wall, just to
Right, because initially we were earmarking it to refurbish the wall so that it was ready to go for the murals.
No, we're trying to, we're getting cost estimates to see if we can get the wall, the base painting of the wall done through the project itself. So that
Right,
will
this
be
is-
coming forward.
$16,000 will not repaint that entire wall. You know, we were gonna get a price to see and then discuss that. Ultimately, we'll probably go to the finance committee and discuss if we wanna spend some of the city's bond money from the Market Street project to just get a base coat on the wall, so it looks decent as it looked like it does now.
Right.
And then if we're able to spend some of that $16,000 to do some kind of public art there, to be determined, I mean, that would be great. But the $16,000 itself wouldn't even come close to covering just paying
Okay.
to paint the wall. So-
Right, because it would kind of be pointless to have murals done on it if it's not, you know, the wall doesn't have a layer between
Yeah.
itself
something
and
there.
Okay, I'll let you continue on, Shannon.
Yeah, so I'm just putting it out there. Regardless, they are feeling like, you know, they got brought on the committee to do work for the city. The funds, you know, being removed when they were promised 60,000, and they made this master list. They have some fantastic ideas, that are really for the betterment of our city. And so I think if we can consider securing like 0.5%, that's something we can look at. That's earmarked just for public arts. Cause some of the members have been on there for, you know, since its beginning. And I think they're just feeling a little down, cause money keeps being taken from projects.
Yeah,
Anything further? I'm sorry?
do you wanna discuss that, us to talk about that a little more? or
We
not
can,
now?
we
I don't-
can, or, yeah, we can if you. have
Well, I
something
just
to add.
wanted to, maybe we can ask the Public Arts Commission for some clarification on the 60,000, 60, that they're
Yes.
referring to. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that question.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
remember promising 60 grand when we did this.
It was, I was the liaison for a
Richard
while. I remember
Guys, let's.
Barlow
one at
was
a time.
talking about, since they got invited onto the committee, that initially there was 60,000 that was approved. I wasn't there for the onset, so I don't know. I'm going off of what they're relaying to me.
I don't think that was accurate when we did that. I think there was a request made, but we never said we would do that.
But they're more than welcome to come here, so we can bring them here. We can have them here.
And we can also address the entire commission, so we can do that.
The match was only number 16. So it was only ever 16. I got the public art money approved a long time ago in the DRI, Department of State funding, and it was only ever 16 for the public art. Then when Foothills, when we got it for the Foothills mural, Foothills was getting a match through private donors for the other 16 for that mural. 60 was never a number that I can recall for public
So-
art.
We could definitely talk. I don't know where.
But could I just mention
Yes,
that
of course.
we are working on a concept to get annual funding for public arts.
Mhm.
It would not be through a capital project. Mike and Ginny can step in on this one. If you do it through a capital project like the water or sewer infrastructure, that's being paid for by the water and sewer funding. I don't believe you could pay for public art through that. But we're trying to we're trying to earmark another source, to have some annual funding for public art, and we are trying to develop that around everything else we're doing, so that's gonna be coming soon.
We had planned on speaking about that during the budget process, to bring that concept to the council to consider.
And just a heads up, this is a model that they got from Syracuse, Buffalo, and Troy. They do 2 to 3%.
We're probably talking development projects, not capital projects, which is different. If they're capital, there are projects funded through our site sources, like water, sewer, or whatever. If they're development projects, then they're not the developers pay for that.
I think, yes.
We don't have a lot of development projects coming on right now.
I think we can probably make some sort of a presentation to the Public Arts Commission so that they're all clearly on the same page.
I think everyone will, needs to be on the same page.
We wanted to do that once we have this approach
Mhm.
fleshed out.
Yeah.
But
But as they've got these concerns, it might be. Katie, did you have one? Okay. Shannon, anything else?
We're good.
Okay. Any other council member have anything they'd like to bring forward? Yes, Glenn.
I have a friend, but he's a constituent of the 7th Ward, asked me to move this forward for the roundabout. He would like to suggest maybe having the American flag pole mounted in the center. I knew we talked about maybe moving the Dick Miller plants over to the center. Is there any talk about maybe a flagpole?
I'm not certain what we have strategized for this. Can you?
There's landscaping in the center as well as in Miller Park, which will remain. It's just a little bit modified, but there's a tree in the middle right now, Chris, right? That's what's in the plan, so.
A tree?
Relative to that, sorry for this, the Oneonta Federated Garden Club would love to be involved in the process.
Oh, they have been throughout.
They have,
They designed the center.
Good.
And the Miller Park planting, so we
Well,
made
it
sure
might
there
be
was something
a
that
case
we
of
could-
I've talked to the wrong member then.
Susan was ours.
Susan's been involved the entire time.
Terrific, excellent, that's good news, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And-
but to your question, Len, I mean, we can talk about doing something different there anytime in the future.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's a
'Cause I think
chocolate
Public
statue
Arts-
or something else, Scott.
Public Arts got approached
That was a
by,
chocolate statue.
Chocolate statue.
Public Arts was approached by someone who wants to do a memorial for Gold Star families. So, I think the person is looking into like funding for the memorial right now. It's, I think, a little bit out of their budget. They're looking about like fundraising and stuff. But I think putting it in the middle of that was one of the ideas too. When people walk through, they can stop and look at it.
I believe that there's been some consensus that a monument might be placed at the corner in front of the History Center. So just as an FYI, I think that's what they've gotten to with that.
Okay. I don't know that that's still the case, but okay.
All right, yes, Glenn.
So, we're gonna pass through, I believe, on the consent agenda, the Westcott lot financing for the wall. The only concern that I have was not the financing of the project, but of the timeline with regards to the downtown businesses. So, can you guys walk me through the timeline of, are we gonna wait before we affect more downtown parking until our 47 Market Street is online, or?
That wasn't the plan. Chris, do you know off the top of your head how many parking spaces will be affected? Is it?
We were losing 4 to 6.
4 to 6, so we'll have, where the loop around is now, that loop around will just be in front of that, so most of the parking lot will still be accessible during construction. But the idea was to move forward with construction now, so that it's done by I think it's mid-October that it would be completed.
So you think you're only gonna lose 4 to 6?
That's the plan, that's what's on the drawings.
Okay. My observation is that parking lot gets used a lot.
It's a little more empty during the summer.
Plus, they're not gonna have the ability to make access to Main Street because the stairs are gonna be gone, right?
The stairs, there are 2 phases, stairs will be available during each phase. There will be accessibility.
Okay, so we're gonna keep the ability,
keeping that.
okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Anything else from any of the council members? All right, well, I appreciate that. And with that, we'll move into our public hearings and our petitioners section and our correspondence. And we start with our public hearing before the mayor to receive comments on a local law to adopt the historic property tax exemption pursuant to real property tax law, section 444-A, and to amend Chapter 268 of the City of Oneonta Municipal Code entitled Taxation to add Article 15, Historic Property Tax Exemption. This local law was laid electronically on June 17, 2025, and approved by the Common Council on July 1st of 2025. Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to speak to this? Seeing no hands, I'm going to close that public hearing and move on to our next. We have a public hearing before the mayor to receive comments on a proposed ordinance modifying Chapter 294 of the City of Oneonta Municipal Code entitled Weapons. This ordinance was laid electronically on June 17, 2025, and approved by the Common Council on July 1, 2025. Do we have anybody who would like to speak to this? And seeing again no hands, we'll close that public hearing and move on to our third of 6, it looks like. Public hearing before the mayor to receive comments on a proposed ordinance modifying Chapter 194 of the City of Oneonta Municipal Code entitled Parks and Recreation. This ordinance was laid electronically on June 17, 2025, and approved by the Common Council on July 1, 2025. Do we have anybody who would like to speak to that? And no, okay, all right. We'll close that public hearing and move on to our fourth, a public hearing before the mayor to receive comments on a proposed ordinance modifying Chapter 21 of the City of Oneonta Municipal Code entitled Board of Ethics. This ordinance was laid electronically on June 17, 2025, and approved by the Common Council on July 1, 2025. And again, is there anybody who would like to speak to this? No. And so we'll close that. And moving on to a public hearing before the mayor to receive comments on a proposed ordinance modifying Chapter 130 of the City of Oneonta Municipal Code entitled Fireworks. This ordinance was laid electronically on June 17, 2025, and approved by the Common Council on July 1, 2025. Anyone? Okay, and we'll close that. And finally, a public hearing to receive comments on a special use permit application for the property located at 61 Elm Street in the City of Oneonta. Do I have anybody who'd like to speak to that? If you'd find your way up to the podium, please, let me know who you are, where you live, and have at it.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm Robert Kennedy. I live at in Hastings on Hudson, down in Westchester County, New York. We do a lot, fundraising wise. Last year was actually probably our most successful year in fundraising. Our fraternity, Tau Kappa Epsilon, is very big with St. Jude's Hospital. Last year we were fortunate enough to raise $7,119, and $5,000 of that money was raised in the last 3 months of the school year. We have had some issues, I will say, with the town. There was a couple instances where we were fined for having a couch on the side of our house. I just wanted to bring that up because I know that's probably going to be in the decision process of approving the special use permit. That couch was disposed of as soon as I was notified. I was hoping it was going to be disposed of when we got the notification, but it wasn't, and that's on me. That's on me. That's my responsibility. But I can assure it's been disposed of. That's all I have.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have we anybody else who'd like to speak? All right, well, thank you very much, and we'll close that public hearing. And we're going to move on to committee reports and begin with our Community Wellness Committee. And Elaine, would you take it from here? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry. I did slide right past the petitioners. How did I do that? So, do we have any petitioners who would like to speak? Have we any correspondence? It's like I knew that was going to happen. Thank you, guys. All right, for bearing with me. Community Wellness Committee,
All right.
Elaine.
Yes, so Community Wellness Committee had a full meeting where we are continuing to research potential locations for cooling stations in the city. Right now, we are looking towards potentially, some kind of partnership with OPT, and that's going to continue to be investigated further. We are looking at tobacco licensing legislation that Councilmember Lapari Shu provided, the draft proposal, and so we had Jennifer Hill from Tobacco Free Communities join us, and we have some questions that we're going to be looking at, and we're consulting with other parties like code enforcement and the city attorney for feedback, and we're hoping to wrap that up at our September meeting and send it on to the legislative committee for review. Then we've also been touching on food security and homelessness. We shared these posters around that were very helpful. If folks need them, I have some copies. It's information about 211, which is a coordinated entry point for services. And we're going to be exploring how to support our existing local networks, especially in light of how our social services networks are being threatened by national funding cuts. And we are exploring volunteerism and how the committee and the city can support volunteerism. This came from some feedback from several committees, including the Budget Review Committee, and I think it was even brought up on quality of life at one point. So we're now talking about this idea of creating a volunteer database, hopefully working with some interns to help us create a system like that can be housed on our website. And I'm also reaching out to some vocational training programs for individuals with disabilities to see how we can work in some folks with in those programs to help out with some of these volunteer duties that we have around the city that we might be able to do. And so we're just looking to create some synergy and connectivity around those things. The last thing that we're looking at on community wellness is arranging, along with the Climate Smart Community Task Force, arranging a TIC education, public education piece that is likely going to be presented around one of the summer concert series on the plaza. And so that's moving ahead, and assuming that goes well, then we'll do a follow-up with Narcan training as well.
Terrific.
Can
Questions? Yes.
I
Sure.
just want to say, if anybody can build an app, please get in contact with Elaine. If we can find someone to, we were thinking about the interns, but if anybody wants to offer their services, we would gladly take them. Oh, it's for the volunteer database.
Yeah,
Probably should
because
say.
I think the latest is that it sounds like we're going to approach Hartwick and see
Yeah,
if
that-
they might have a student
exactly,
who
yeah,
can
that
build an
computer
app. But yeah,
science is
definitely,
for-
if there's anybody who wants to contact us.
Yeah,
Anybody who wants to help, please.
Any other thoughts or comments or questions for Elaine? Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll move on to Cecilia, please, with the Finance and Human Resources Committee report.
Thank you. So we reviewed appointments to the Housing Commission and the Commission on Community Relations and Human Rights. We reviewed a few fee schedules that we are going to have a discussion later on. And we had a discussion about staffing. We did a quarterly, reviewed the quarterly review that we were given, and we discussed sort of tentatively the timeline for budget and scheduling additional potential meetings in July to start that budget discussion.
Okay. Questions? Comments? Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on to Lynn and the Legislative Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. We met last night, and we had a relatively short agenda. We furthered our discussion, and I believe we came to almost a final form on the Chapter 5 Americans with Disabilities Act Compliance Committee. We discussed, along with the city staff, felt that the form that was sent to us, I believe it was the environmental board sent it to us on the tree board, that the committee and the city staff felt that that was just an additional layer of government that wasn't needed, that we felt that the process that's in place right now has been doing a really good job. I think it was we're almost to 4 decades of being a Tree USA city designation, so I think we're on the right track there. Katie's going to put a package together for the committee before our next meeting about rent stabilization. And then we recognize that we have run out of time to cause a public referendum. I think the committee we've crafted 3 that are going on this year to November, but we've run out of time for the common council vacancies and the nomination process, because it does take power away from the mayor, so in order to do that, so there's just not enough time to flush everything out. We did have an individual that came and spoke to the committee again about the administrative fees that he has been feeling on a particular property, and we probably will rediscuss that in committee next month.
Good. Scott?
So the administrative fees have been kind of discussed in the Board of Public Service as well, so maybe there should be a joint meeting between the two to discuss that, because, you know, they get it too, and they kind of unsure of the fees and why we do it, the way we do it, and that they think some of them are too high. And
we can actually have their group meet with the legislative group at our next meeting.
So, just to, Scott, so the action item there is that you would then approach the Board of Public Service and see if we can make this happen by way of their then attending a legislative committee meeting?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, good. Excellent.
I think we meet Thursday,
Yeah.
so I'll try to remember between now and then.
All right.
I can just add something to that. I did meet with Stephen Yearly today and talked a little bit about a draft ordinance he's been working on for, it actually is a parking, related to front yard parking, but he's looking at developing a new appeals process that would address some of the issues that we've had in Board of Public Service and could potentially be replicated in other areas as well. So I think that would be a good time to discuss that
Absolutely.
when the Board of Public Service
We
is
need
set.
Steve.
Is that a document that he feels that he'll have done relatively
He's
soon?
got a solid draft. I think there's some revisions that need to be made, so we've got a review with the city attorney, and so your next meeting is probably several weeks away, about a month now, so I think we'll be okay for August. Yeah.
All right, so we're planning on having him there then.
Yeah, that's progress.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Is it all right if I'm having problems with my email, so I can't even respond to anybody. It goes and gets stuck in the outbox. I have not had a chance to get with the city clerk to get it fixed. So.
Work on this.
Need to make an appointment.
It's kind of funny, but,
She's a busy schedule, yes. Please email
Good.
city info. Yeah.
would it be all right if you or the city clerk send that to, Marge about the joint meeting with,
I can address it if
until I
you'd
can
like.
get it fixed,
Yes.
because
Yes,
that's,
we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. All right, I love when a plan comes together. All right, have we, anything else for Len and the legislative report? Thank you very much, Len, appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to our approval of warrants with motion number one, that the common council approves the warrants totaling $1,745,338.37, that the same be placed on the finance director's desk for payment as presented. Do I have a motion to approve? I've got Elaine, followed by Len, and take the name.
Councilmember Moser Kempoli.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll see how this goes. So our consent agenda, is there any council member that'd like to remove a motion and move it to discussion on our consent agenda? Okay, no. All right, in that case, before we get into it, I want to just, again, as I like to, I want to recognize folks that volunteer, Carrie Maffey and Rosso Beauvais. Both have volunteered to serve on various commissions, our Commission on Community Relations and Human Rights in the latter case, and the Housing Commission on the former case. So I thank you very much, volunteers, what makes this thing happen. All right, with that, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? I've got Don, followed by Len.
Councilmember Moser Kempoli.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Alrighty, that takes us now to our city administrator's report. And Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. You may have noticed we had the pavement markings contractor was in town for just one night. They were able to get some work done on Chestnut Street, Main to Wall, Main Street downtown, as well as Deed Street. But if you notice areas that are not done, which there are a lot of, they still need to come back. They did have to leave town. They had one night here. We're not sure exactly when they'll be back yet. And the Deed Street lot was done as well. You noticed that. I'm not sure if we've got those lineators back up, but if they're not, they will go back up. Market Street, you probably saw a Nixle notice today. That will be milled and repaved for the next 2 days. Not the entire thing. The short sections at the raised crosswalks that were installed, not to spec the first time, they'll be corrected. That's at James Jorgensen, the crosswalk by the park entrance. Broad Street, as we call it, by City Federal Credit Union entrance, and Chestnut Street Extension. The Chestnut Street Extension entire intersection is raised, so there's ramps on either side to be installed there. After that, it's really just pavement markings and a few other punch list items to complete the Market Street reconstruction project. The community solar campaign update. I know there were some emails, we heard some complaints, confusion from the public amongst ourselves, exactly how this is going to work. We've had a call with Solar Simplified, our consultant on that, just yesterday, and I just wanted to share hopefully some information to clear some things up for people. I guess first I'll know we've had over 300 applications submitted to date, which I think is a good number. The second mailer, the first mailer went out, 3-4 weeks ago now. They're looking to send a second mailer out another 1 or 2 weeks from now. It really depends on the schedule of the Postal Service. So how does this work? Because there's been some confusion on that. Any resident can apply online, by phone, or by filling out and mailing back the form with a prepaid envelope. It does not matter where you live. You could live in another town, in the town of Oneonta. You could live somewhere else other than the city. You can apply through this program. You could apply not through this program. Essentially what we're doing is we've partnered with this company that does this, and we're trying to push this as a possibility, an option for our residents to save a little bit of money and also utilize solar electricity. So there was some confusion because some town residents received this letter. It was from the mayor. It said, "Dear City of Oneonta resident," and the reason for that is simply the USPS routes. Sometimes they cross the city-town line. They don't pay attention to city-town boundaries, so that's why some town residents received it. We'll revise the second letter to be a little bit more clear. It's "Dear Resident," not "Dear City Resident." And if you have any questions, anyone calls you about that, feel free to let them know. They can sign up if they wish. They certainly don't have to. If they have already enrolled in another community solar program, such as the one the county advertised recently, there's no reason for them to join this one as well. They can only be in one. Right. But they're similar programs, different companies that each of us are working with. If you already have solar panels on your house, don't worry about it. That's good, but you can't participate in the program. It's for people that do not have solar panels on their house already. Once you apply, Solar Simplified will be in touch with you again to let you know the next steps. The actual solar project that this campaign that you're applying for hasn't gone live yet, so there's people that have applied are not fully enrolled, and they won't see this on their bill until that goes live, which Solar Simplified will let them know when that happens, and then it takes a couple of billing cycles before it will show up on their bill. And about the bill, so they'll continue to get their NYSEG bill, and if they have an ESCO, they have a different supplier for energy, they'll continue to get that. It'll be unchanged, other than on the NYSEG bill, they'll see a couple of new lines on there, one which will list the solar credits that they received, and then they get a 10% discount on the solar credits. And I think that was part of the confusion, was what is it, a 10% discount on the overall bill, or what are these solar credits? And the solar credits are essentially what amount of energy that you used is coming from this solar project, versus in some cases, depending on the project's capacity, the season. In the winter, obviously, solar panels are not going to produce as much. You may see on your bill that not all of your energy is coming from the solar project, so you're going to get credits on the amount of energy that is coming from the solar project. That's why it's 10% of the solar credits, not overall on the bill. So maybe that clears some things up a little bit. If you have any more questions you receive from people, feel free to send them my way, and we'll work with Solar. Well, really, they should contact Solar Simplified directly. But if they reach out to you and they'd rather talk to a city person first, connect them to me, and I'll connect them with Solar Energy, Solar Simplified. So
I got to tell you,
Thank
this
you.
is the first time I've understood the solar credits piece.
Sorry.
So thank you.
That should have happened sooner.
Appreciate that. Anything else? Okay.
One other thing I wanted to mention, unrelated to that, unless you had a question on that.
I did.
Go ahead.
So, just to clarify, multiple forms of clarity here. You will see the incentive here to join this particular program is to receive a reduction in your overall cost, your energy costs, correct? I mean, there is
Yes.
that incentive. It's just going to vary depending upon the customer, given that energy usage will vary.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay.
There is a 10% discount on the solar credits that you receive. And there's a value that's assigned to those credits.
To those
that
credits.
has to- yeah.
Yes, and that will allow you to have an overall.
Yeah. So it's possible, and I don't know the likelihood of one or the other, but it's possible that your entire bill is solar credits. Everything on your bill is being provided by the solar farm that is involved in the project, or it's possible that something less than that is. Whatever that amount is, that's what the 10% is.
And in the winter, that might change entirely. Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
You had one more thing?
Yes, just looking ahead, we've been talking with our grant writer, Toma Development, about applying for a CDBG Public Facilities grant for the Armory. This is perhaps the last opportunity we'll have to apply for a CDBG grant of this kind, because that's currently not included in the coming year federal budget. It's an open round, there's not a specific deadline, but we're working on it now. We'll probably bring this to an upcoming finance committee. I'm not sure if it'll be the next one, but it'll be an upcoming one. It's a no local match up to $1 million grant. It specifically would be for ADA improvements, so we would like to use this to replace, you may have noticed, we replaced the ramp, the temporary ramp that's been there for longer than temporary. We'd like to replace it with a historically accurate, something that would go through the Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission, new ramp and stair. And also, we would look at installing an elevator inside the building. There's no elevator now. So that's something you might hear more about coming up. Judy, I don't know if you had anything to add. That's basically it. Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Greg? Yes.
I just had a question about the status of the occupancy tax that we put forward. Where that resides
I can
in
probably
terms of
field
the
this. Yeah.
approval for it or
Yeah,
not?
I can probably feel that. It's hopefully going to wind up on the legislative calendar in January. It might find its way back on in the fall. There's a small percentage chance of that, but only a small percentage chance of that. The likelihood is that it's going to wind up back on the legislative calendar in January. It's been approved by the Assembly. It hasn't been moved forward in the Senate, and that's really the next stop on its way to the governor's desk. Okay. Righty. Any questions for Greg? All right. David, I want to turn to you, if I could, for an update on the payment of the open judgment, I guess we have, and current status of that.
Yeah, we had talked, and the council is aware that there had been a code enforcement action against 195 to 205 Main Street of some long standing. There was the council authorized me to bring a proceeding against the former owners. In the interim, the building has now been sold to new folks. We began enforcement proceedings against the old owner and received a settlement of the total judgment that had been taken against them for approximately $152,000 in civil penalties for the code enforcement, and that check has been delivered and given to Jenny. It's been deposited in the general fund. The new property owners are automatically given a 6-month reprieve from any code enforcement issues. We're currently working with them. The mayor's work has already had at least one meeting, and I know there's going to be another meeting with them as to what their plan is to improve that entire spot in the storefronts and upstairs. And so they're just, again, so you are aware that in fact that came to fruition. We have the money. It's in the till, and the check is cleared. So that's good all the way around.
It is good all the way around.
We have the Supreme Court action. The court retained jurisdiction, so the simple paying of these penalties did not close the proceeding. The court still has jurisdiction, and we could renew it at any point if we get to a situation where we don't believe that there's cooperation or we continue to have continuing deterioration in the building in our center city. We can rev that back up again and begin enforcement proceedings through the code enforcement office. But my understanding is that the tide has turned, but that's more for the mayor than for me. But we just want to report to you that was successfully completed, and it was a very positive enforcement action for the city.
Okay. Thank you very much, David. And to piggyback on that, on Saturday, July 26th at 1 p.m., anybody who is in downtown, we're going to ask the new owners to introduce themselves to the public and answer questions. And I'm looking at you, Daily Star. So hopefully we'll see everybody there. Okay? Yes?
Where is the?
So it's what used to be, it's essentially the other side of the Oneana Hotel, right? So right across from Muller Plaza.
So
And
it'll be in one of the storefronts there, or in front of the building?
we'll be right in front of the building, I think. Yeah. Yeah, depending on the weather.
And
Um,
they're there,
yes.
just to clarify, so they're there to answer questions about
They're
the
there to,
plans for the
yes,
building?
they're there to introduce themselves, to explain what their strategies are, and to answer questions, and to make an introduction of a tenant. So it should be must see. So hopefully we'll see a few folks there. So the other thing I want to, is there anything? The other thing I want to bring up is our budget process we're moving into now. What I'd like to ask the council to do is to take a look at their calendars and see if we can get ourselves a meeting that's just specifically to address the budget and really specifically to continue the development of the strategic plan in creating the foundation for our discussion of the budget. And I'd like to do that in July. Technically, we have to do that in July, right?
Yeah, the council or the charter references July being the first meeting
Right.
of the budget process.
Right, so July 29th is a date that works for a few folks I know among staff, but I want to ask council if that might work. And if not, what other options might we have? The 28th is a Monday.
There's click that night.
Is the quality of life and infrastructure ends sometime after 6, depending on how quick that meeting goes.
And they've been getting longer.
Have they?
Yeah, we're getting a lot more on us.
Mhm.
So, want to reverse the dates?
Wait, what time?
Is that, I mean, could that be a possibility?
Like do
Reverse click?
strategic and then click?
Yeah, do click, like we could do click on Tuesday and.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Whoa. Hold on, how long is this meeting?
Let's say an hour and a half.
Can we do it 1 hour and a half? Can we do it at 5? On Tuesday, the 29th?
I can't do Tuesday.
You can't just, 29th is out for Katie. We'd like to have her be
Tuesday
there.
or Wednesday.
Good.
I can't do Monday.
You can't do Monday.
Really Wednesday? I mean,
Wednesday, all right, so Wednesday the 30th, does that work for anybody, for everybody?
I already have 9 people scheduled.
Mhm.
What is the outline for the meeting?
We haven't really developed an outline for the meeting. I would like to think that, we know that we're not done with the strategic plan, and we all agree the strategic plan is basically the bedrock on which we kind of build the.
I would disagree with that.
All right, well, some of us will agree to that.
Okay.
All right, in any case, I'd like to finish the strategic plan because that, I do believe, is going to
So
point
this
us in the
isn't a
direction.
budget meeting, you want to have a strategic plan?
No, I would like to think that we are probably going to discuss some parameters of the budget, some specifics of the budget as well. Jenny's nodding her head. Can I turn to you for a quick second for embellishment?
So what I would like, if it's possible to schedule it sometime, is have our first official budget meeting to start the 2026 process. In that, I will have your binders started. I will have in there every presentation that the department heads have given to budget committee. I will have the normal information about the tax cap and historical information on tax levies and sales tax and things like that. I'll have as much preparation information I can for you for your reading, your study for the next budget. I will, I'm going to be asking Alan to update the city comparison that we did. Hopefully we'll have it for that meeting. I'm not sure if they'll get the data, to update it, but that's one of my goals. Also, all of the graphs that we have given on the overtime, we're also going to be updating the overtime graphs to show the budget versus the actual for the last 5 years. And all of that information, that will start the budget process. Then we'll talk about meeting schedules and also, the goals of the council. We'll consider possible tax levy discussion
Ginny, will you be ready by the 30th? That's a lot of
Yeah,
information.
I need about 2 weeks. I'm just finishing up the audit.
Right, so to my mind, there's no sense of us scheduling this until you're ready with all that
Yeah,
information.
no.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah, well, I will have enough information to start the meeting in July. If the council approves, and I don't know, Terry, if you need to check the charter regulations, but if the council approves that we can do it August 1st or something like that, we can do that.
Oh, I'm not.
Let's get ourselves back to June, rather July 30th and see whether or not that works for folks.
Katie can't do the 30th.
I'm sorry?
And
I can't do Tuesday or
also
Wednesday.
Can't do
hold on,
Tuesday or
I'm
Wednesday.
looking at Monday. Can
But I
we
mean-
do earlier? Can we do like 4 or yeah 5? If it's really going to be just an hour and a half, like you know what I mean?
Well, again,
Do
we're talking
four or
about,
You're
five.
talking about the 28th?
Yeah.
and we could flip,
We
we
can
can
move
switch the Quality of Life and Infrastructure Committee meeting to Tuesday. And we could take that slot on Monday, and that slot is typically 5 to whatever. Would that work?
So
Yeah, I can't be there at
You're-
4, but I can
you-
be a little late.
Or we could do it a little bit late, 5:30?
Oh, 5 is fine.
Oh,
I'll
fine.
be there
Okay,
at
if we do,
4.
if I have to leave a little early, then we'll just be okay.
So
we
so
could do
does
5.
does 5 o'clock on
No,
Monday?
no, we could do. I'm saying we could do 5, but
Yes.
I would. Yeah, as long okay,
Right.
it'll be fine. All right.
So
I'm
5
just gonna
o'clock
say.
on Monday, the 28th.
Okay.
And we'll presume this might run about an hour and a half, give or take. Okay? All right, well, I appreciate that, and that's the extent of my remarks, and so we'll move on to our discussion agenda. And we have a motion that the Common Council approves the event and street closure application by Water Street Merchants for Water Street Saturday Nights events to be held on Water Street on July 19 and 26, 2025, and August 2nd, 9, 16, 23, and 30th of 2025 as presented, and authorizes a one-time lump sum application fee of $100 to cover all of these events. The Common Council further authorizes the city administrator to make any necessary permit modifications based on future planning meetings with city staff and the applicant. Do I have a motion to approve?
So,
I've got Len followed by Don. And discussion?
discussion.
Yes.
So, Jim, just for clarity, I called Chris, our DPS superintendent, before tonight's meeting, just to understand how much cost would be involved on the city. I understand that there's been a new gate system.
Yes.
That's been installed, so you'll be in charge of the gate.
The half of it's been installed, the actual locking side needs to be installed still, I believe. Yes, we will have a key, we will open and close it at the beginning and end of the events. Fire department will also have keys, I believe the police department will also have keys. So in the case of emergency, they don't even need to come in the bar and get us or anything else, they will have immediate access or anything like that.
And so I also asked the question, as I ask all, is how much is it actually gonna cost the city for this event? And so I guess the costs are minimal, but we're gonna still have city staff that's gotta go pick up an enclosed trailer, which the tables and chairs are in,
Yes.
and bring that up.
Right.
So there's still a cost. I understand that you wanna get all 7 dates for $100, but for me, I was just wondering why you didn't wanna pay at least the one full rate of $225.
I was not even made privy to that process, so I would be happy to pay $100, I'd be happy to pay $225, whatever. If that's the option and that would make you more comfortable with it. I don't need any, special kind of, things for that. I'm already gonna be going out of pocket for a good amount of this anyway, because, I was giving a $3,000 budget to book, 7, 8 events or whatever, which is, not realistic for, actual, like, real bands that are traveling and things like that, but, I'll deal with that as it comes, but yeah, an extra 125, fully on board with that.
Jim, just to be clear though, there's no expectation that this is an income generator for, you might see a few more
Oh,
people
no,
in
I'm
the bar.
not
but-
gonna see any money off this, at least not immediately. Ideally, this is kind of a loss leader, whereas I'm paying extra staff, I'm gonna be paying, like different things, like it's gonna cost me money personally in my business. But I'm hoping that, you know, the attitude of bringing the improvement into that area is going to make it more, you know, viable for people to come there. It's going to increase business slowly overall because it's going to be a lot more appealing destination for people to be.
And that's kind of what the city, the council decided that, you know, they were going to give you $3,000 because the city wants this.
Right. What you were wanting him to
Yes,
do?
Cecilia. Cecilia.
So I just wanted to bring the council up to date on our conversation of heading finance. So what we discussed was potentially having a small fee that the city would collect as part of a processing the application. And then we would perhaps establish, because this would be presumably something that would be seasonal, we would allow for a seasonal fee for the summer that would be recurring each summer. So this would be something we're looking in terms of future. So that was, you know, the gist of our conversation, sort of the highlights of our conversation from our meeting. I don't know if there's other committee members that wanted to.
So it's
Shannon?
$100 for all of the times. And it's gonna
So-
be,
So the current fee is $225 per closure, and that would be
right,
roughly $1,600 for 7 days. So
Right.
there's seven dates that are proposed. What we decided, what we had collectively discussed is the potential for just applying a small fee that would then be recurring or seasonal. So we hadn't agreed upon an amount, which is what we want to have the discussion, you know, really focus on. We were thinking that it would be something that could be a processing fee, potentially. That was the sort of justification for bringing that forward.
Excuse me, maybe I was a little confused there. This is speaking about a one-time lump sum application fee of $100, not a $225 per event fee.
That's
a
correct.
big
That's correct.
jump. Like,
Yes.
honestly, like for doing this amount of work and trying to add value to the city, I'm not gonna pay $1,600 out of pocket.
No. That's not
Nor
what,
should
that's not
we.
what's being considered.
Okay, yep.
I
Yeah,
missed the
I'm sorry, go ahead.
conversation you were having. What were you guys taught? I missed it.
Shannon? You
But-
Shannon, excuse me, do you want to be recognized? Yes? Go ahead, please.
What were you saying, Jim? I couldn't hear.
I read what happened at the finance meeting,
Mhm.
and I also contacted the DPS superintendent to understand what costs are involved.
Mhm.
And he explained to me, basically, we're gonna have an hour's staff time. And I was just talking to Jim, who we know each other, and I just wanted to be transparent, that I'm concerned that by setting a precedent of we're negotiating down more than 50% of the fee that the staff has already said, we need $225 to make this happen. And so I understand that you're taking a loss leader, and thank you for doing that. That's definitely a community membership thing. But that's why I came out asking, you know, would you pay the $225 for the 7 events? And
Yes.
you were more than happy to say that. And so, I mean, I don't want to go off too far at setting a precedence of, we do have other street closures that we've been asked to do before, and they're going to come back and ask us to do this.
So you're saying we're gonna be good on the 225 for all of the events?
Yeah.
That you're okay with that?
Elaine?
Yeah, my understanding, this is part of the downtown support budget, and that's where the funds for this are coming from, so, I mean, it does not seem like it would make sense to me for us to invest half of those funds to be paid back in those street closure, fees.
I'm not suggesting that.
That's why I'm just saying, I think that in that way, because this is part of the downtown support program, it's very separate. You know, so I think we're setting a precedent, you know, potentially for the seasonal use for something that is very different than what we've done before.
Katie?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking along the same lines that this seems to be like a city-driven thing. Like, I believe that you were asked to do
Yes.
this. And so, for me, like, I'm not sure why we're charging a fee at all. It just seems like we're sort of undercutting the idea that we're going to, we are, the catalyst for this actually even happening. So I see what you're saying, because we've talked at length about about that. I don't see this as setting a precedent because it's something that, it's not like an organization that came to us and is saying, can you waive the fee? It's us saying to ourselves, do we wanna charge a fee that we normally would? So for me, I don't think we should charge anything for this, especially because Jim is gonna do the opening and closing of the street. That's not to say that there won't be any city expense, but I think that we've already sort of identified that this is like a worthy thing that we wanna support. It was, I believe that it was an internal kind of idea that came forward and you have taken it on, which is great, but I don't think you should lose money on it personally, so, I wouldn't be in favor. I like the idea of a seasonal thing. I think that's a really smart, idea. But I just don't think that at this time, like for this series of events, it makes any sense at all to charge anything, so.
I agree.
Hang on, folks. Scott?
So we had this conversation, and the reason why we still put a fee on there is you gotta have accountability because of like everything that's happening in the parks house. It's more because, I'm not saying it's him, just saying accountability in the way, if we have to go and we have to clean this up because it gets left dirty or whatever, we'll send our DPW in there to clean it up. It's also, this, we understand this was the intent when we did Water Street to be able to do things like this, and that's why we're also give us time to do stuff in the future. Right now, you know, we have events where we have to send in our DPW on overtime. Our DPW and our fire chief and our police chief have already gotten together and they met in a big series about this and what's gonna go on, plus this time that we've done with that too. And we also talked about waiving it completely, but we were saying if we did that, then that could start what everybody's worried about. Well, then everybody else is gonna come to us because they're gonna want this all waived. So it's like one of those things of how do we do this and try to get the first that we can. That's where we came up with $100. You know, because we're like, it's the first time, we're just starting it. We know there's gonna be bugs in this, but still, we have to make sure that there's some accountability in things too, because what happens if they don't close the gate, or the police have to go down because of the gate not being closed, or et cetera. You know, there's a lot of unknowns in this, so it was like one of those happy, we're gonna try to get to the medium here of making sure that we got some accountability going on.
I guess I would just argue that they have to
Shannon?
clean up anyway. The police are gonna have to come out anyway if there's a thing. Like, I feel like this is just stuff that people are already gonna do, and it's for the city, like, you know, we've driven the event, why are we asking for money? And we gave him money. Why would we take money back from him?
Elaine.
Yeah, I think like a lot of other things that, you know, it gives us a starting place and it gives us a spot where we can continue to evaluate, you know, if we wanna do a seasonal use payment or, you know, some other kind of special consideration, you know, with Water Street specifically. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I think the fees were based on closing Main Street, I'm guessing. So I don't know that, you know, if, you know, closing Water Street will have those same financial impacts. But I think we gotta start someplace.
All right, have we've lost one of our council members for a moment, so I wanna not bring this to a vote until we've got our vote.
I just wanted to ask.
Yes, Cecilia.
I just want to ask Councilmember Moshe Campoli if she could just clarify, starting somewhere, what you meant by that.
Oh, you know, if we want to look at, you know, the potential of having like a seasonal use payment, you know, just that this season gives us, you know, an idea of what that looks like.
I do want to wait for Katie to come back.
In the meantime,
yes.
Could you explain where this initiative came from the city?
Yeah, it was in the larger document that was presented to council that detailed various expenditures within the course of the expenditure of $60,000. So $3,000. One of the things that I think is universally agreed upon both by council and certainly by you know, a lot of residents is that a vibrant Water Street is a real asset to the city. And so we're looking at the installation, once the actual pole lights go up, the installation of the what do you call those little lights, the string lights? So it's gonna have a really nice kind of an atmosphere, but actually, as we have a minute or two until Katie gets back, Jim, you wanna just kind of take us through what you think that looks like, on the street that night?
Sure, I mean, ideally, the gate would be closed 7:30 to 8 o'clock, somewhere there, after all the local traffic is gone, it's done. There will have to be, signs put up, no parking, at this time, so we don't trap any cars in there when we lock the gates. Simple stuff, DPW would break down, you were thinking, the trailer would be down, like, pretty much at the end of your workday, so there's no overtime, none of that, just, at the end of the shift, you drop the trailer off on Friday, it sits there. We haven't determined the exact spot for it yet, but
We were talking on Chestnut Street Extension.
okay, right, yeah, right. So the trailer would be parked there, well, that's where it would stay for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday morning it would get removed, or Monday during the day, whenever DPW has time. The actual event itself, eventually I wanna lead into a real festival kind of feel. Get a couple food trucks down there, I spoke with the fire department about where to safely put those, so they have room, A lot of the kind of on-the-ground stuff has been slightly worked out already, there'll be a learning curve. But yeah, like that, vendors, like a real, just kind of like Ithaca kind of feel, where it's like, you come down and it's a place to hang out. Whatever happens, you're going on live music, you've got a little bit of something for everyone.
Bless you.
And then, by 11:30, 12 o'clock, it would be done. It's good that I want it being closed down early, because that way my bouncers, things like that, Adrian down at the SIP, like that will be their time to go out and police up cups, because we'll be serving plastic, there'll be no glass. Like if you take a soda out there, no glass, no nothing, They'll be at the doors. I already have someone at the door anyway to make sure alcoholic beverages don't get taken out. So it'll be that kind of thing. The cleanup should be relatively easy. We would discuss also about garbage receptacles, which will be really key to making it not an absolute, trash can outside. I would like that, maybe some cigarette receptacles, but it's all stuff, it's a matter of sleeping. And for the extra 2 hours between ending the evening and ending the bar night, a lot of that can all be done. So there's no reason for it to ever look, bad the next day.
Okay, unless there is further discussion, I think we could probably take the vote. I'm sorry, Shannon?
What are we voting to do?
The motion is-
We're gonna change it?
There's been no motion to change it.
Okay, well, I'd like to motion to change it that we're not charging him anything.
Second it.
Okay, we have all right, so we have a motion to.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Motion to amend.
Motion to amend with that new motion being a removal of the $100 fee. And discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote then.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
No.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Okay, so the amended motion,
Now we vote.
Now you vote on the actual
Yeah.
motion.
that's what I was just about to do, thank you.
Good.
So the amended motion is one that no longer shows a fee to be paid. Right? And
Authorize a one-time fee exemption.
yeah, let me just read your writing. I want to read this out to everybody. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so motion that the common council approves the event and street closure application by Water Street Merchants for Water Street Saturday Nights events to be held on Water Street on July 19th and 26th, 2025, August 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th, 2025 as presented, and authorizes a one-time fee exemption, period. The common council further authorizes the city administrator to make any necessary permit modifications based on future planning meetings with city staff and the applicant. And if there's no more discussion, then we'll take a vote.
Councilmember Mosher Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo.
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Lepari Shu.
Aye.
Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson.
Yes.
Very good. And now we go to motion number 8, that the common council approves an amendment to the 2025 City of Oneonta fee schedule for the addition of a $500 deposit to be required for all park events utilizing space in the City of Oneonta parks. Do I have a motion? Don, followed by Scott, and discussion? Yes, Shannon?
So I'm just curious, the thought process, because this is something that came up for legislative, and we were like thinking or feeling that requiring a deposit, especially a substantial one, might bar people from utilizing the space. We were already looking at making fees lesser if people brought their income schedules in, so just curious what the $500 is about.
Cecilia?
So this was an extensive discussion at the Finance Committee meeting, and we heard from the DPW director about the amount of time and energy and expense it takes to clean up after an event, and it's actually far more extensive than we first realized, and it seems like a kind of recurring theme for the organizations, and the organizations that we're talking about. We're not necessarily, this isn't necessarily for those individuals, the pavilions that are rented. This is for a swath of a park. And so the concern is the amount of labor that's needed in order to clean up after organizations that have used these sections of the available space. And so this would it's a deposit, the organization would get the deposit in return, presuming there isn't the need to do a massive cleanup, as there seems to have been. So this is a recurring issue.
Right.
It's not a one-time issue. So that was I don't know if...
Well, we had a similar discussion
Oh,
with
okay.
that amazing human over there. And I think that the feeling around it, because we were changing fees up, like we were going back and forth with pavilion fee rentals, field rentals, things like that. And this came up about how much it costs. Nowhere at any point in our fee schedule are we ever getting back what we pay or put into, or like we are gonna owe out. Like, do you want to talk about it, Len? Do you want to take it over?
Yeah, no, we definitely did the exercise where we found that the cost that the city incurs outweighs what we charge as the small fees.
Like, in a huge way. And that we've kind of come to this space where we're not going to really recuperate over, whatever it costs us to close down a street, right? What is it, like $1,200 for a parade or something? Is it $1,200, $1,500? We're not going to charge that to the people, to people to shut it down for a run, and so the city eats those kind of costs. I think, the way this is worded is that it is all park events, and, I would be concerned that, this might be preventative of different groups. I don't think, when I was running, different events at the park, like picnics and stuff, I don't know that we could have come up with the $500 deposit. Just seems preventative.
Go, I'm sorry. Yes, Chris. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just thinking about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
An extra level of fundraising there. So that is good to think about, because in my brain, when Cecilia, what you said made a lot of sense about this being organizations, and I was thinking of bigger organizations, but there are also smaller organizations that need big amount of space to hold community events, and this may be prohibitive. So that's it. That was my 2 cents.
Yeah, let me let Chris.
I just want to state that our park crew sometimes, after certain events, there have been a handful over the years that leave large messes for us to pick up. And it takes time and effort for us to pick it up, so we thought requiring a deposit would encourage them to clean up after themselves. And if it's clean, when we come back the next day, they get their deposit back. So it's an encouragement thing so that our staff can focus on the things that we really need to focus on, rather than picking up messes left by other someone's event.
So maybe it could be a tiered piece, right? Like we did for the pavilion and the other rentals, where if people, if it's like a smaller organization or a group of people running an event, maybe it's like $100 deposit. And if it's a larger organization, they have resources, like we did. I'm sorry.
Elaine.
Yeah,
I just want to also add that my understanding is that there's very clear instructions on what the cleanup entails. And there are some groups that have been following those instructions, right? And I know working very hard to make that cleanup happen. And then in other instances, those specific instructions have not been followed, and then that falls on the city. So I think those are the kinds of issues that we're trying to address more, are, making sure that there's consistent effort, from groups, that accountability that we were speaking to making sure that if they're gonna put on an event, that they're also accountable for cleaning up that event as well.
Adopt a field.
Do we have, Scott?
Just throwing it out there, because I never thought about a tiered event. What about if we just take it back down to finance and we look at the tiered event? See if we can come up with a tier approach to it. Versus, I don't think we got a table, it's just a discussion, right? We didn't.
You have a motion and a second.
Oh, so I've got, whatever, table, I guess, I'll make a motion, we just table this, send it back down to finance.
Do I have a second?
Yeah. Councilmember Mosher Campoli?
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo?
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh?
Aye.
Councilmember LaPartie Shu?
Aye.
Councilmember Carson?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson?
Yes.
So that'll go back to finance. All right, that takes us to the end of our motions. Any additional business or anything for council consideration that we didn't cover to begin with? All right, there is a need for an executive session, and you have the verbiage on that?
So you discuss a matter related to ongoing litigation.
Okay. So I'm gonna thank you all for your.
You need a motion and
Oh,
a
yes,
second?
yes.
Who do you want in there? You gotta have this in there too.
Myself and the fire chief, as far as
Okay,
that.
so I make a motion that we go to executive session.
Thank you, Scott. Second for the motion, Elaine, and
Councilmember Mosher Campoli?
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh Russo?
Aye.
Councilmember McHugh?
Aye.
Councilmember LaPartie Shu?
Aye.
Councilmember Carson?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Matheson?
Yes.
all right, very good.
Yes.